Hello and welcome to the second season of Brand News, the podcast. I'm Charlotte Emily, your host, and I'm thrilled to partner with Winkelstraat.nl, your go-to spot for all things luxury fashion, connecting international retailers and emerging luxury brands with the trend-setting youth of today. This season, we're delving even deeper into the world of brands and style. Every episode, we'll uncover the latest news, trends, and expert insights with the help of industry insiders. From exclusive interviews to behind-the-scenes moments, gear up to expand your fashion horizons with Brand News brought to you by Winkelstraat.nl. Enjoy the show. I'm your host, Charlotte Emily, and today I'm speaking to Isabel Udo. Welcome, Isabel, to the podcast. So glad to have you here. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much. It's a lovely day and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're sitting opposite me for the first episode of the second season of Brand News. And this one is in collaboration with Winkelstraat.nl. Very Dutch. Mm-hmm. And when we were curating the guest list, your name came up quite high because you have done a collaboration with Winkelstraat.
Correct.
We can get into that later, but you have a crazy CV, so I'm really excited to dive into all of your experiences and your career path. And you're a digital artist. I have to read this because you're the founder and creative director of videOrbit Studio, Amsterdam-based mixed reality design studio focused on social AR and interactive installations. You create custom-made interactive experiences, perfectly balanced between art, design, fashion, and technology. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Can you tell me about it? Oh, where should we start?
Yeah. So I call myself a digital expressionist, which is kind of like a term that I made up myself. But basically what it means is that I really focus on experimentation with ways of how we can express ourselves online.
Yeah.
So mostly I do that with augmented reality, with my company videOrbit, where we create interactive experiences for brands on social media. So think about, for example, Instagram and TikTok filters and Snapchat lenses and this kind of like AR experiences that I create. And mostly I do that for brands in the beauty and fashion industry. Mm-hmm. And so indeed I had a really cool collab with Winkelstraat as well.
Yeah, it's such a Dutch word to say, but it fits perfectly into the sentence. And for anyone who's kind of listening and thinks like, what is AR? What is AI? Like, how would you explain it?
Yes, so I am working with different types of technologies. So there is augmented reality, AR.
Yeah.
There's also virtual reality, which is like those, the goggles, the glasses.
Yeah.
And then there's also AI. And AI is something that is quite new to most people. And it's something that I'm starting to incorporate more and more in my work. Which one should I explain, actually? Because there's like multiple.
Well, let's do the AI if that's what you're incorporating more in your work.
Yeah, so maybe I can just go over all of them and we can
please.
Augmented reality is really a digital layer over the real world where you probably know it from, filters, but you hold your phone up and you can actually see a digital layer over your camera feed over the world. And then there's virtual reality, which you have to put on the goggles. Yeah. Which closes you off from reality, basically. And then the last thing that I work a lot with lately is AI. And AI is something that has been around for a long time, but it definitely has seen its boom lately with ChatGPT, for example. Yeah. But basically what it is, it's machine learning models. So computers are being taught different types of patterns, and these patterns are then regenerated, basically. So it acts kind of like as human intelligence. like ChatGPT, for example. So I use it. So there's different types of machine learning models, like, for example, large language models, but there's also visual models. And that's where what I work with a lot.
Yeah.
This is called Stable Diffusion, and it's really, I'm using it with video format, and it's something very new in my workflow as well. But it's really, really exciting, and I really start to see, the power that it can really have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've really been experimenting a lot with it lately, and it's been great fun.
Yeah. When did you start this? When did you start your videOrbit business?
So I don't really come from the fashion industry. I didn't study for fashion. My mom did, and she always took me to all sorts of museums and exhibitions. And
nice.
So I got a lot of influence there, but I accidentally studied 2 disciplines that made me have specific skills for me to end up having this career path, which actually didn't exist yet before. So I could never know that I would start to do this, right?
Yeah.
That I would study to do this. But I studied interactive design, and I did the film academy.
Okay.
And so it was really about visual storytelling, and it was a lot about working with technology. And when I graduated, the augmented reality world kind of opened up.
Yeah.
And that's when I completely got immersed into this, the world where I could learn about different softwares and, create kind of Instagram filters at the time.
What is at the time? How long ago are we speaking?
That was 2019.
Okay.
So in 2019, I really, I graduated and I really started to work with augmented reality a lot. And that's where I also started to get noticed, because I was one of the first people that was really working with this new technology and creating kind of these beautiful tools that eventually were used by brands to connect with their audience online.
Yeah. And being noticed, do you mean you brands contacted you because of the work that you put on Instagram?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it definitely grew slowly, but I really noticed that the more work I put out there, the more easy I got new inquiries.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a very interesting time for, this technology was really a boom, augmented reality. Whereas right now the industry has definitely changed, and it's much more about AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on always. And I think the landscape is always evolving, which is very interesting and sometimes a little bit scary, because it means that for me, I always feel like I am running after all these types of different cool projects. And there's always something new to learn. And I always feel like I'm behind. But then I also realize that a lot of people have the same feeling as I have.
Yeah.
So it's not only me that feels like this, and it's the technology itself that moves so fast that we all need to kind of keep up.
Yeah, true. You've also worked on something really exciting, which is called Future Front Row.
Correct.
Yes, I'm saying it correctly. I was just thinking FFF, Future Front Row. Can you tell us more about this, or the listener who maybe doesn't know what Future Front Row is?
Yeah, definitely. So Future Front Row it's a project that is all about digital fashion, and it's all about making digital fashion more tangible in a way. It really came from the idea that, I was actually, I was attending all these digital fashion events. And one thing that really stood out to me was that everyone was talking about digital fashion, but no one was really showing it. So,
in what way? Sorry to interrupt you, but just to back up, what way were they speaking about digital fashion and they're not showing it? Yeah.
Everyone was talking about how cool digital fashion is, and it's the future, and it's sustainable, and it's all these type of things, but there wasn't really a way to directly show it to each other. And that's kind of where this idea came from, where I wanted to show digital fashion in a more tangible way. So that means that people can actually go and visit a space where they can see digital fashion. They can actually go to a fashion show. So that's how, this idea was born. And it was very exciting to actually see that the very first show that we did launched in the official program of Amsterdam Fashion Week.
Yeah, congratulations.
And it was a collaboration with Felix Meritis, the Cultural House in Amsterdam. And we invited 9 different digital fashion houses to come and show their collection in the physical world, which was definitely, a very first for most of for everyone, actually. And so we had 4 shows in total, and it was received really, really well. There were very, very, it was a very eclectic runway. With many different avatars and different outfits on the runway. And I think that was the beauty of it, that it was so diverse. And, one avatar was kind of like an alien dancing, and the other was on fire, and there was another one floating. And
amazing.
for, all these different ways of expressing were really coming together in this one show.
Yeah.
That was just really exciting for a lot of people.
Yeah. Where did the inspiration come from for this project?
I think it came partly also from the fact that I'm a digital artist myself, and I wanted to kind of like create a stage for other artists and other, fashion houses, digital fashion houses in this sense, to show their work in a new way. So it's also about the experimentation of how can we express ourselves again. And also about creating a stage for smaller designers to show their collection. So it was kind of like, coming from this place of like, how would I want to show my work?
Yeah.
Kind of, but and then in the end, for me, it was just a very gratifying way of kind of like also giving back to the community. And
that's really inspiring. Your mindset.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely, Nice. What is it exactly that you feel that your company does for the industry? So you just touched on giving back to the community, which you definitely do. But how would you say that your company fits into the industry?
That's a good one. So for me, I think a lot of the work that I do, it's in multiple different directions.
Yeah.
So I work with my team with videOrbit a lot on marketing campaigns that are really focused on social media and that are a little bit more flashy. Which I really love to do, but it's also for me to, to make sure that I can, pay people at the end of the month, and, that I can actually keep up myself. And then additionally to that, there is these types of projects like Future Front Row, where I can really put in my passion and create something new and experiment and work together with other artists to, create something new and exciting.
Yeah.
So there's multiple ways of how I go about it, and sometimes the balance is kind of like skewed.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm really happy, and I'm really I feel really lucky that I am doing what I do, and that I can be my own boss and work for clients, and also do my passion. So there's, I feel like it's definitely a balancing act, and sometimes it's not in balance, but for now it's still like balances out in the end.
I noticed that you also work with quite a lot of international names, clients, let's say. How do you curate your own clients, and how, like, kind of what things do you decide on if you take on a project? What's important to you?
That's a good question.
I asked like 3 in one go, actually, so you can just take them one by one.
So Obviously, I want to portray myself as someone who works in the fashion and the beauty industry, and that's really what you will see on my feed. But for me to make money, I also work for other projects. So it's not only for beauty and fashion brands, although those are the topics that I really focus on and that I really post about also online. Yeah. And I really strongly believe in the law of attraction. So because I post about those things and I talk a lot about those things and I talk about digital expression and about, how can we create new ways of showing ourselves online and what do we need to, look out for. Yeah. I feel like that also comes back to me in a way. So I think it's the more I focus on the things that I really love to focus on, the more I feel like I'm allowed to do that as well, in a way. Yeah. Obviously, I work really hard and I do a lot of different things. But I think if you do it with a lot of passion and a lot of determination, then, you will get there.
Yeah. You said earlier that you graduated in 2019. I noticed that you have quite a big following on Instagram. You have more than 18K followers. Do you feel any pressure in terms of people that are viewing your work? Does it feel like a lot when I say 18K people follow you? How do you deal with that kind of visibility?
Yeah, that's sometimes definitely a little bit complicated. And I definitely feel sometimes the pressure and might not post things that maybe it would be actually really nice to post. Yeah. So I definitely struggle with that. And you bringing this up actually is another motivator for me to keep going, because essentially how I started my career is by posting a lot and by posting also my successes, but also my failures and my experimentations. And I think that's something that throughout the years I kind of stopped doing, where maybe that's also the thing that people love to see. People love to see, experimentation and who is the person behind all of this, cool and colorful things that you see online. So yeah, in a way, this is a really good motivator.
May I ask why you stopped posting more then? Is that because of pressure or?
I think so, yeah. I think there is a pressure to be, to create something that is really cool and that people are going to love. And I think this is something that, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's struggling with this type of pressure, but and it's also not something that I am really anxious about in general. I just need to sometimes remind myself, like, hey, I think it's totally fine. Like, not everyone is constantly with their eyes on you, right? Even though it feels like that online, especially on social media. Yeah. But yeah, I think getting yourself out there is actually always, a good thing to do.
Do you feel like the pressure that you just described is more, or maybe feels more, if you have a project in the fashion industry versus a project outside of it? Is
maybe
it like
in a
the
way,
industry?
Yes. Yeah. Maybe in a way, yes. And maybe I don't even know if this is like a good answer or a bad one, or but I definitely feel a difference in industries of like the AR industry, the marketing industry, and the fashion industry, and also the digital fashion industry. There is differences there, and I think a lot of people are definitely trying to, outshine each other in a way, and there's definitely pressure coming from that as well. But I think in the end of the day, it's important to just look at your personal life and maybe also go offline a little bit to make sure that you detox from that feeling of like trying to always, look very shiny, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely see some differences, but yeah, we're all humans, right? And we're all like, humanity as a whole is like, it's not that different in the end. I think...
maybe because all of your work is online. and obviously you also have maybe a personal life online. Is that what you mean? Like the split?
Yeah, I definitely have also a personal life online, and I find it really hard to post on my professional account about my personal life. But a lot of the times, maybe that's also something that people would like to see a little bit more about. So that's definitely something that, there could be a little bit of a new evolution there for me personally. But
Interesting. Maybe something we need to come back on to later. So I mentioned this season we're collaborating with Winkelstraat, obviously, and their brand goal is to help you own it, whatever your it is, and it means embracing the things that make you different, investing in fashion pieces that give you confidence. And is there a moment in your career that really made you feel like you were owning a situation or a project or what is that for you?
I definitely think that, the world in which I operate is constantly evolving, and I really feel like, maybe if I do this, then this is going to be the next thing. And then when I accomplish it, I'm like, okay, but now there's a new bar,
Yeah.
So in a way, I feel like the bar is always like in a different place than where I am at the moment.
Yeah.
But in the other way, it's also that if I really reflect back on like all the things that I have done, I can definitely look back and really be happy that I was able to kind of like, make a little wave in the world of like technology or digital expression, or that I could actually like contribute in a way.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely proud of that.
Yeah.
But I don't see that as like the final station. I definitely am already looking forward to different projects that are in the pipeline that I cannot talk about yet. But
oh, that's exciting.
that are also really exciting. And I think for me, what I lately have really learned also is that it's really important. Your personal life is really, really important as well. And, you can be super, super accomplished, but I think personal happiness is also really, really important.
It is, yeah. For sure. Yeah. No, that sounded like I don't care, but I do. I want to highlight some of the brands that you've worked with because when I was preparing for this conversation, I was listing all of the brands that you've worked with. And I just want to make sure to name them here because it's crazy. Dior, Kilian, L'Oreal, Cosmopolitan, MAC Cosmetics, Versace, Armani, Burberry, Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein. The list seems to go on and on. Yeah. What's been your favorite collaboration?
Ooh. Well, first of all, if you're sharing this list to me, I still cannot believe that these are, projects that I was able to work on and that I was really honored to work together with these type of brands. But I think one of the projects that I really hold dear to my heart is a project for Burberry, which is called Super Bloom. It was to celebrate the Jubilee of the Queen at the time, 75th Jubilee. And so they had this really cool floating garden with wildflowers, and they asked me to create kind of like an AR activation with wildflowers as well. So you can put them in your living room and you can have this whole composition also on your face. And that was a really, really exciting project for me because at the time I was really focused on natural elements and flowers. So it really fit also with my aesthetic a lot. And that's why I think that one was really fun for me to do.
Yeah. And maybe for someone who's listening, who's like just starting out their career or maybe has just finished school, to kind of grasp like what a kind of collaboration, how it comes about. So Burberry contacts you, and then like how does something like this work for you?
Yeah, so the first thing that will happen is there is going to be a brief, and from that brief there's going to be feasibility check, but also like the concept creation basically, and to make sure that everything is feasible that we propose. Then if that is accepted, oftentimes we have like multiple versions, but then when that is accepted and the client is excited, then we start producing the content. And for me, that's oftentimes like 3D models, or animations, or like different types of things that you could make with 3D software, or visuals sometimes. And if that is then signed off, we start to develop it in softwares, augmented reality softwares, or softwares for mixed reality like Unreal Engine. And then basically we have a back and forth with the client, show them the updates of what we have multiple times. So 3-4 times we go back and forth, show them, do the presentation. This is where we are right now. And then we basically fine tune it until there is a final product. And then from there on, it is going to be launched or deployed. And oftentimes there's like maybe some posts related to it. So it's like part of a bigger campaign sometimes. So yeah, that's how that will work. There's a lot of different kind of like facets of my work. That I think it grew really over time. Our whole process of how we work, it really grew over time, and it went with trial and error. But I believe that we have a very efficient way of working nowadays. So,
how many people are work in your company?
So currently we are with 5. So we have a digital project director, manager, someone who's really like taking care of all the communication and that everything is in time. 3D artist. So someone who is really focused on producing a lot of the work that you see. And then we have a social media marketing person who's also doing concepting. She's a freelancer. And then there is also an intern for also, production and kind of like jack of all trades. And then me, myself, I'm the business owner, but I'm also really focused actually on the creative direction, the strategy, and the art direction of like what it looks like. And besides that, I'm definitely not backing down from just also doing a lot of developing myself, 3D modeling. That's really where my background is. So I have a very deep understanding also about how things work, which is really helpful.
I can imagine. Do you have any brands that you aspire to work with which are not on this list?
I would love to maybe work together with Vogue. I think that would be like, I think for everyone in the fashion industry, I mean, that's kind of like the crown on the work. So I almost say it with like a blush, but that would be great to do something with, with an institution like Vogue to create something together in mixed reality for fashion, digital fashion, holograms. I don't know, but that would be cool.
Yeah, amazing. You also worked, like we touched on before, for Winkelstraat in. It's a while ago, I believe. It was a collaboration with artist Gabois. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was actually a really exciting project.
Yeah.
What we did is we created at the time really one of the very first like digital clothing experiences. So they produced a really cool t-shirt, and it had a QR code, and then you could scan it, and then it would open an AR experience that would elevate the shirt, kind of. So it's kind of like a physical piece of clothing with a digital layer on top of it. And so the artist Gabwa, she made kind of like a sculpture made out of like fruits of like, the human intestines, kind of like, or how do you say it? Not intestines.
The organs?
The organs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that again, okay?
Yeah.
So she created...
Yeah, we'll keep it in. It's funny. Yeah.
She created a sculpture of like made out of fruits of the human organs, and we digitized that, and we added flowers, and that would really come to life, and we would have like a dragon fruit as the heart that would like beat, and it was
amazing.
really interactive, and it was just a really exciting project to be working with. Also because I followed Gabwa for a long time already before, so it was really also a little bit of an honor to work
I
together.
can imagine. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Do you feel like there's one experience or one project or maybe like a pivotal moment that kind of shaped your career to where you are now, besides for the Jubilee? My family in the UK are going to be so happy that you worked on this.
I would love to think that the one project that would change everything is still in my future.
Oh yeah.
So no, I'm always looking for like the next really cool project. I'm always wanting to collaborate. I do a lot of like my work week is, all my clients are global and they're all online. So I always, have video calls, but then at the same time, I drink a lot of coffees with different artists in Amsterdam, and
super important.
I definitely make sure that I stay kind of like in the community, and I work together, and I meet a lot of people, which I really enjoy doing as well.
Yeah, really important. Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like there are some challenges that you've faced which maybe someone can't really see from the outside because you're working on a project that you'd like to share?
Well, technology in general can be a little bit unreliable sometimes. And even though we have really good contacts with the platforms that we work with, sometimes, there might be bugs, or there might be things that don't exactly work the way how you expect it to work. And that's something that sometimes you really need to work around, and you need to really keep the communication open, and like talk with the client, talk with the brand, or the talk also with the platform, let them know if there is an issue with their technology. And this can sometimes be challenging if you are, if you're standing somewhere and you have a whole installation built, and then all of a sudden it just doesn't work, and it has to do with an API that they changed, or like there's definitely sometimes these,
what's an API?
An API is kind of like a communication script tool that works with different platforms. So imagine that we have a lens on Snapchat where you can see what is the weather of today, and so the Snapchat technology talks with the weather API through an API. With the weather institution through an API. So that's kind of like a live link, kind of like through different softwares, a network.
And it's crashed on you before?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes things like that crash. Or things like that it just happens that sometimes things like that break, or sometimes even hardware elements that might not work or function in the way that you expect. But I think that keeps us all on our toes, and it makes sure that we have very exciting and days that are filled with things happening. So in a way, it's also exciting because I really see my own work, especially the development, as kind of like forever ongoing debugging is what it's called. So making sure that there's no bugs and, solving problems basically, which I enjoy doing. So that's good.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Is this, I was going to say, I want to ask you another question. Do you feel like, because you said when you studied you went into this direction not on purpose, right?
Yeah. Correct.
But do you plan out where you want to be? Do you work with like, in 5 years I want to do this, in 5 years I want to do this, or is it taking its natural course?
So when I studied, my profession didn't exist yet at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So in a way, I could have never imagined that I would be doing what I do now. So what I can say is that the way how I see my own career path is really maybe not focused on the exact details of it, but more like in, the bigger lines of like which direction I want to go. For me personally, I would love to stay independent.
Yeah.
I think that would be like one of the things that I would always want to focus on, to be an independent person with maybe a team or like, a group of people that are working together. That's really important to me. But with the technology, moving so fast and developing, we never know. We cannot even imagine what kind of technology is going to be available in 10 years because it just hasn't been invented yet, basically. But I really see myself as someone who is an early adopter or like a kind of like a front runner in this type of like thing where I really love to experiment a lot. Yeah. So I am sure that I will keep doing that.
Yeah, that's a really nice note to end on, actually. Thank you so much. You've been a really amazing guest, and thank you for sharing all of the insights around your career. And it's been really inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Yes. Cool.